Hello and welcome back to the making of the Chapel of Zenith. Today I'm going to be making the altar for the chapel itself. As you can see on the screen, I have a couple of reference images of a human skull. This is going to be for essentially just decoration for the front of the altar. So I thought I'd do that part first because that's going to take the longest. So I'm just going to do a simple plane, and I'm going to align that to view. I'm not too worried about that. So I'm going to pop that down just in there, come into edit mode, do a line down the center, get rid of this side. I'm going to do my mirror. So I've got mirror modifier. Now I know that skull is way too big at the moment, but I'm going to, once it's done, I'm going to shrink it down. So what I want to do is I want to start kind of at the top here, the top part of this eye. So I'm going to make this a lot smaller than it is now. So I'm just going to bring them down to about there. Bring that down about there as well. They can go out to about there. So it just brings it all together really. I'm going to need, it's going to be fairly high poly. I'm going to have a couple in here as well. I'm going to move these up. Just so I've got that. It comes around here. So this is just so it brings it in and gives me the rough shape of the skull. And it will need to come forward by quite a bit as well. As you can see, it's way back here and I need it to come forward. So I bring the whole thing forward a little bit. So I'm doing this eye socket part here. Now these end vertices, so these here, if I select these, and then I'm going to go to this, these need to come back to about there. Then it's just a case of keep bringing these things back. It just gives it the actual shape, as long as the shape's more or less there. It just gives it the proper shape of the skull. Of course, I could come in and just sculpt it, but I don't think that would work very well. So instead, I'm just going to do it like this. Sculpting is a great way to do things like this, but like I said, it's a little bit out of my skill set at the moment. So I just need to do it like this. And just make sure that so I'm not really concerned. See, it's keeping the rough shape of the eye there. I do want to bring these so this is the very top of the eye ridge. And then I'm just going to obviously just clean it up a little bit as I go. Just making sure these they don't have to be straight, but they do need to be in the right positions. So you can see the curves and things. So yeah, obviously the reference image isn't spot on. As long as I get the right sort of shape, I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to extrude these now. So they can come down. That come down to the bridge of the nose. This is why I wanted to make this in a separate video rather than do it in the last one, because there's so many steps that I need to do with this. That other video would have been way too long, I think. So that's the inner part of this nasal passage that comes here. I'll bring that down a little bit. Bring this back. Just so it gives me that. I just want to follow these kind of lines. Like so. The ones need to be brought back, I'll bring back. Bring these forward. It's just a rough shape, really. Now, since there's a hole there, I'm going to need to, so if I extrude this to there, and then just bring it round. So I'm just doing the outer side of the nose, bring it round again. And I can sort out these vertices. Just to give me that shape. It just gives me that a nice little shape there. So again, it's just a case of bringing back all this, lining it all up. You say it's very rough. Gives me that rough sort of shape. You can see how it's starting to take shape now. Okay, so this is going to be the underside of the eye. And then sort out the vertices. Just has that rough shape of the eye. So that's the inner side, this is the outer side. That needs to be merged with that. So I just merge those. Merge these as well. Okay, if I merge those, I think that's going to look quite bad. Right, let's just get these vertices into place. Just a case of bringing these back to where they need to be. So that needs to stay there, and that needs to come right the way back. So that one's on the very edge. So I can probably come back to there. I can start bringing these back. Doing a little bit of a tidy up with these vertices. So this one needs to be there roughly. So I'm going to move that just out there. It probably can be joined to there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that one out. Just so I've got the right sort of shape. And I think these two, they can be connected. And there needs to be one in there. So I can come out to here. So I want these kind of to be more or less the outer side of the eye. These are sort of like the inner part of the socket, as you can see. It gives it sort of that kind of look to it. I'm only going to need to do sort of like the front, because where it's going to go into the altar itself, it only needs to be the front part. So with these, I can extrude those out. I'm going to do one there. I'm going to do one there. Put those where they need to be. Do a bit of cleanup as I'm going. So I'll come back. So this is just coming back to this sort of side part almost. Then bring this down. And I can merge those at last. So merge all these at last, and that one is to that one. Just so it gives me that kind of shape. I'm going to bring that one up a little bit, bring it out. So bring that down too. So that bottom part can probably be the bottom part of the jaw. So I'm going to just bring that down to about there. Then bring these down and bring that up. Just so it gives it that. Again, it's all about the shape. So this needs to come back. That needs to come back. So a lot of these need to come back, and that one needs to come back as well. I'll just bring them all back to where they need to be. It just gives it a little bit of a clean up as well. It is going to need one here. So it gives me that shape a little better. It's not going to be very high detailed. It's just so I can put it onto the front of the altar, which will be next once I've done the skull. So I'm going to just select all these along here. Right, let's undo that. Just extrude them. Try and make that as flat as I can. And that brings it just there. And that one vertex needs to come in. So again, just select these, extrude them up. I'm going to put that as right to the top there. That one can come to the back, so that can come here. Then that one can come, put that one there. That one there. I think it is going to need one more in here. Maybe another one here. Just so it gives it that sort of roundedness. Gotta bring that one right in. because this here is going to be that sort of indent on the side as it comes in. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's going to be close enough for what I want it for. So I'm not too worried about the jaw. So this part, that part there, going to extrude that back. If I do two, so one there and one there, just to finish it off. Then what I can probably do is start merging these. Just to bring it down a little bit, just to bring that poly count down. So that come up to there. I'm going to merge those two. So that becomes this part here. So I want this to be that bone just behind the jaw. That brings it to here and then to here. And that brings that in. Then I can do those parts. So I'm going to do one there and one there. And then these vertices, they can be, so that can come in. And then that one can come in as well. I think it is going to need to try and get these just so they're kind of rounded. I want it fairly rounded. Just so I can, as I'm coming up, it's sort of rounding these off a little bit. It's more or less to make these kind of almost straight lines, just so I've got good line flow going around the skull. So that's what it's looking like at the moment. So we're getting there. So let's do this. Going to bring this out a little bit. Just so it's following the contours of the actual skull itself. So that needs to come like that. And it needs another, so these need another extrude. It's going to bring those out. One there. There's going to be another one up there. And then to there. course, they need to come out. Those vertices need to come out a little bit. I'm just going to use the back of the skull more or less for those. So I think that one needs to come out as well a little bit. Just by a bit. So it's just following the more or less the contours of the skull. So I'm just going to bring these out. Those ones right at the end there. Now let's see if this is going to work. Yep. So I'm just going to go ahead and, because I don't want to weld those two vertices, I just want to fill in that gap. Because if I weld it, it's going to create problems. So I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to do 2 more extrudes for the side just to finish it off. So I'm just going to extrude that to there, and then that to there. And make sure that they are lined up. So I'm just going to bring that in, bring that one in. Just follow the shape of this skull. Yeah, it's got a bit wrong there. I'm just going to quickly undo that. I think I need to weld them first together, so I'm just going to weld those together, and these two can be welded together as well. So at the center. Then I can go ahead and start one by one, making sure that the contours are all correct for this skull. So I'm just going to bring these down a little bit. Alright, it's starting to look better. So again, just bring these down. So I want those to be there. And then these very back ones are the ones that are kind of the top of the skull there and there. So they can go behind here. Okay, now I think that one needs to come in a little bit. And then I'm just going to sort these vertices out. Just to clean them up a little bit. These are almost cleaned up now. Now I want to set a point to where these, like I said, I'm not going to do the back of the skull. There's no point. So what I need to do, I think, because these are going to be, this whole skull is going to be connected to the altar. So it's kind of like that. So let's have a little look at it. So it's looking pretty good. So where it cuts down this line, what I may do is if I put all the vertices that I'm going to put to this line, the line of this. So I'm just going to bring these just to the line, like so. Any that are over the line can kind of just stay there for the moment. But I essentially want a nice, almost straight line down the middle here. So I can get these I think you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just bringing these in to this line. Because it's not going to work 100%, but it's going to be close to what I want. So I'm just going to bring these, all these ones that need to come back. That one needs to come forward a little bit. And then what I'm going to try and do is see if I can just, see if this works. So now I should have those vertices. I'm going to straighten those up a little bit. Yeah. Because then that cuts it off then, and I don't go too mad on the vertices. Just make sure there's no gaps, which there are. If there's any sort of gaps, I can fix those. So I'm going to merge those two vertices, because they're fine to just merge. Bring that one back. I'm going to need to fill that edge. And I'm going to fill that edge too. Now let's just check if there's any more. Don't look like it. Then what I want to do is, now that I know these are the back, I can go ahead and I can just change those so they come out, and that'll bring me to a point where I want to just continue with it a little bit. So I'm just going to bring that there so we can see it's looking pretty good so far. So I'm just going to bring out, that one needs to come out a little bit. That one needs to come out a little bit. And then that vertice needs to come out quite a bit, so that needs to come there. So it's just about just cleaning up now. Making it look good. So I don't want it to be too poly heavy. I'm going to add a shape smooth to it. So that's looking pretty good. Brilliant. So now that's done, I'm going to select this vertex. I'm going to go into edge mode here. And then I'm going to extrude these. They need to come back. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to bring those. So these are going to come back. So they're going to keep coming back. So I'm going to do a couple more of these. Think one more. I'll bring that right back and then I can fill that in. Just so it gives it that sort of inner part, this bit here. I'm going to do the same for the nose, but what I'm going to do before I do that, I'm going to apply. So I've now applied that modifier. I'll bring that out just a second. I'm going to come in, I'm going to go into the vertice mode. And then along the front here, I'm going to merge anything that's not merged at the center. So I'm going to start at the back here and work my way forward. So anything that's not merged will be merged, otherwise we're going to get nasty gaps when we come to smoothing and things like that. So this is just so I can merge these together. So that should be nice and merged there. I'm going to come into the edge mode again. I'm going to select the nose part. And I'm going to do the same what I did for the eyes. So I'm just going to bring that like so. I'm going to bring it in. So again, bring it in. Bring it in. And I'm going to fill that. So that's the skull more or less sort of done. So now we've got that, I'm going to add a solidify. So it's not going to want an offset. And I'm going to make it probably about 0.4 thickness. Let's apply that. And let's have a quick look at what it looks like with the shape smooth on. Looking pretty good. So I'm going to do the auto smooth. I'm going to ramp that up a little bit. Just until there's what I like on it. So I kind of want to go for like a sculpted look. So about there looks pretty good. So that's looking pretty good there. So this is the skull. So what I'm going to do now is, do I want to add a jaw? I could add the jaw. So like this jaw. I don't really need to, because it looks pretty good as it is. But I am probably gonna... Do I want to add teeth? Probably not. What I do want to do is I want to see if I can bevel that. Just to give it a little bit of a bevel. Just so it doesn't look as sharp then. Because I want it quite smooth there. It's better. Okay, but I do need... Probably don't need anything underneath really. Because it just kind of looks like it's hollow. So I think I'll call that done for the skull for now. But what I'll do, I'll keep the reference image. So I'll pop that over there. I'm going to save this. So I'll save as... So part 9. So there we go. Now, all I can do is if I can come in here. This is going to be our reference man. I'm going to do another cube. So this is going to be the base of the altar. So I'm going to bring that down. Bring it in. So I kind of want an even all the way around. Yeah, that's looking good. Just going to extrude that to here. So that's looking pretty good too. So just do another cube. I'm going to bring that to the same as there. So what I want to do is bring that down as well. Just so it matches up with this bottom part here. So bring that up. So we're getting there with this the altar now. So if I do a couple of cylinders. Now they're not going to need to be 32, so I'm going to bring those down to probably about 20 should do it. No, 21, because I want it kind of flat on both sides, so maybe 22. So 23-ish. And bring that down in all directions. So I'll put that on the corner. So I'll bring that in. think that needs to be. Yeah, these things are now in the way, so get rid of those. So once I've got one, bring it in just a little bit. It's about there. Straight it up. It's about there, probably. Better idea. Move that down to about there. Let's duplicate that. Pop that up to the top. Just there. So I'm going to join those two together. I think you know what's coming. I'm going to go ahead and weld those vertices together. See, first I think they definitely need to be lined up correctly. So I'm just going to quickly go ahead and line them up with their relative. So that looks about right. So I'll just go ahead and merge at center. Oh. So it just joins them up, really. I'm going to put a little bit of decoration on this pillow. So I'm just making sure that these are all joined up. So, yeah, that's fine. Just at center. So whatever the center is. I'm not too worried about it going a little bit ski whiff there, but sometimes this is very fiddly. So at the center there. So we can just keep going round, making sure that I've got them all at the centers. And I'm not too worried about the back of it, really, because you can't really see it. So I'm just making sure that I've got them all. I think I've got them all now. So they all should be, that should be all one big solid thing. So I'm wondering if I can dissolve that edge. So dissolve edge. Yeah, that seems to have worked. Brilliant. So what I want to do is, going from the front, I want to do every other one. Like so. Bring those in just a little bit. And then the painstaking task, one by one, I'm just going to bring them in a little bit like so. I think that works. So we've kind of got this sort of decoration sort of thing going on here. So I'm pleased with that. So now I'm going to go into wireframe made, and I'm going to, should I make those bigger? No, I'm not going to make those bigger. I will duplicate them so they can come. This one can go there, one can go there, and for the other side too. So just bring me into where I want them, about there roughly. And then with the skull, shrink down the skull, so by quite a bit probably. It's going to be quite a prominent feature of this altar, so I'm going to bring it forward a little bit. I want to bring it forward. May need to flatten it a little bit in this axis. Make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, there we go. That's looking pretty cool. So what I'm going to do now is the skull selected. I'm going to do a duplicate of it. Bring my duplicate to the side, and I'm going to pop that there and shrink it down just a little bit. Make a duplicate of that one and put that the other side. Raise that up just a little. Bring those down a little bit. Just so it's kind of like almost like a triangle. Yeah, so I'm liking that. It's looking good. Okay, so I think I can now safely join them all together. I'm not going to bother with the back. So the skulls don't need to be on the back. So that's going to be the front, and that's going to be the back. Don't want two on the side. I think these smaller ones, yeah, because I think they would have them on the side as well. So kind of in the middle-ish, sort of there, I would imagine. Just bring it back a little bit. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to obviously duplicate that one, bring that to here. Bring that in and bring that out. There. So I've got skulls at the side. That looks better. Yeah, that looks a lot better, which is brilliant. So I'm just going to select that whole thing. Join it all. Set the origin to 3D cursor. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to name that. So name that altar. So that's more or less the altar sort of done now. See, it's looking pretty good. So I like that. But what I will do is come into this mode and I shall get rid of the underneath face. Because it's not needed, it's not wanted. Because you're not going to see it. And the last thing for this video is if I do a plane, bring it a little bit thinner to about there. I shall bring that up. So it overhangs, it's overhanging both sides. Just going to bring that just above. So bring, it's just above there. So I'm going to bring that down. Straighten it up. And I'm going to bring it down again. And then these two, they can be collapsed and that can come down just in the middle of his forehead. And then for the back, it's just a simple, just down a little bit. I'm going to put in one more in there, just to bring it, just that a little bit out a little bit. So this is my altar cloth. So I'm going to one in. I'm going to move that to the edge just there. Put another one in. It's not going to like it, but so I'll just bring that in. And then what I'm going to do is that there, just dissolve that. So dissolve that edge. Yeah, that's fine. Always have to check the back. So I'm just going to select that whole line and bring it to about there. And it needs one at the back, so I shall put one in there and put that at the back just about. So I'm going to put one on the, I think there is one on the edge. Yeah, there is. So I'm just going to put that about there. This is going to be like a golden, so this is for when I'm texturing it later, so it's going to be gold along here and along here, and then I can put the rest of it's going to be kind of white. So I'm just going to put a solidify on it. 1 meter, 1 point, yeah, 0.1. That should do it. So it's not too thick, but yeah, that's what I want. I will put a shade smooth on that, just to give it a little bit of a smooth. It's meant to be cloth, so I don't want it too harsh. But that's looking fine. So I'm just going to add that to it now. And that's the altar basically done. I can now go ahead and put that into the chapel. So So I'll just put that where I want it to go. So I'm going to pop that here-ish. I may increase the height a little bit because it does look a little bit. So I think that looks okay. So yeah, so that looks all right. So there we have the altar. I do think it may need to be a bit bigger, but once it's made, then we can go ahead and play around with it, you see. We can make it bigger, smaller, whatever really. So yeah, I think that's all right actually. Yeah, so that's fine. Because the idea is, hang on, a little bit longer, maybe a little bit wider too. It's about, yeah, that looks fine. Anyway, so the idea is for this altar in the novel that I have written, they actually put your corpse on this altar. So on top of the altar, you know, if you've died, there'll be a corpse on here for a little while before they go and either bury it or cremate it. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to put that over there. I can probably get rid of that reference now. And I'm going to save this again. And then pop the entire chapel back over into the centre. Or roughly into the centre. So that's it for this video. In the next video, I'll be making the statue of Zenith, which will sit behind the altar, so sort of here. It is going to be quite a tall video, and quite long as well, just like how long this one's been. It's probably going to be twice as long. But that is the chapel update so far, and it's coming along real nicely. Until the next video.